The stars outside were not the soft, twinkling points of light from Earth's night sky. Here, in the outer reaches of human-explored space, they burned with an intense, unfiltered brilliance that seemed to challenge the very concept of darkness. The UEA's Defiant cut through this cosmic expanse like a knife, its hull a marvel of human engineering that represented decades of technological evolution. Captain Jessica Williams stood at the center of the bridge, her posture a perfect blend of military discipline and intellectual curiosity. At 42, she carried the weight of humanity's most advanced exploration vessel with an ease that belied the complexity of her role. Her uniform, a sleek, graphene-enhanced design, shifted subtly with her movements, its adaptive camouflage technology responding to the ambient lighting of the bridge. "Status report," she called out, her voice calm but commanding. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez, the ship's primary sensor analyst, looked up from his holographic display. His fingers danced across the interface, pulling up layers of data that would have overwhelmed most human minds. "We're approaching the outer marker of the Kepler reconnaissance zone, Captain. Quantum sensor grid is showing some unusual readings." Unusual was a dangerous word in deep space exploration. Williams knew that better than most. Her career was built on transforming unusual into understood, a skill that had earned her command of the most advanced warship in the Earth Defense Force. The bridge of the Defiant was a testament to human innovation. Unlike the sterile, minimalist designs of early space exploration, this vessel blended functionality with a kind of controlled artistry. Holographic displays hung in the air like living paintings, each one a window into a different aspect of the ship's complex systems. Neural interfaces allowed crew members to communicate with the ship's computer through thought and subtle gesture, a technology that had taken decades to perfect. "Define unusual, Lieutenant," Williams prompted, moving closer to Rodriguez's station. He manipulated the holographic display, expanding a section that showed a series of quantum fluctuations that defied standard mathematical models. "These energy signatures don't match anything in our databases. They're not random. There's a pattern, but it's unlike anything we've ever encountered." The bridge fell into a charged silence. Every crew member understood the implications. Humanity had been exploring deep space for nearly a century, mapping star systems, developing faster-than-light travel, and slowly expanding its reach. But truly unknown phenomena were rare and potentially game-changing. Chief Engineer Elena Martinez spoke up from her station, her voice tinged with a mixture of professional caution and scientific excitement. "The quantum sensor array is operating at maximum sensitivity. Whatever is causing these readings is either incredibly massive or using a form of energy transmission we haven't encountered before." Williams studied the display, her mind racing through potential scenarios. First contact scenarios were part of every deep space commander's training, but theoretical preparation was always different from actual experience. She had read countless reports of potential alien encounters, studied the psychological and tactical approaches developed by generations of space exploration experts. "Bring our defensive systems to standby," she ordered. "I want full spectrum analysis and maximum data collection. Whatever this is, we're going to understand it." The ship responded to her command with a subtle shift. Quantum capacitors hummed to life. Defensive shield generators began their complex calibration processes, and the ship's advanced computer systems began collecting and analyzing data at speeds that would have been impossible just a decade earlier. Lieutenant Rodriguez suddenly leaned forward, his eyes widening. "Captain, the energy signature. It's changing. It's not just a random pattern anymore. It's responding to our sensor probes." Responding. The word hung in the air, pregnant with possibility and potential threat. Captain Williams felt a familiar surge of adrenaline. This was why she had chosen this life, not for the safety of planetary existence, but for moments of pure, uncharted potential. Humanity had always been defined by its ability to face the unknown, to transform confusion into understanding, threat into opportunity. "All hands," she called out, her voice steady. "Prepare for potential first contact protocols." This is not a drill. The UES Defiant continued its silent approach, a beacon of human potential moving through the infinite darkness, ready to face whatever mysterious encounter awaited them. The first indication of the alien presence was not visual, but a cascading wave of quantum disruption that rippled through the Defiant's sensor arrays. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez felt it before he saw it, a tingling sensation at the base of his skull, a momentary disconnect between perception and reality that spoke of technologies far beyond human comprehension. "Contact," he shouted, his fingers flying across the holographic interface, multiple quantum signatures emerging from something. Captain Jessica Williams was already moving, her body responding to years of training with a fluid grace that belied the tension mounting on the bridge. The ship's defensive systems hummed to life, a complex orchestra of technological preparation that represented humanity's most advanced defensive capabilities. The alien fleet materialized like a nightmare given form. They were not ships in any traditional sense. Each vessel seemed to be a living organism, a biomechanical entity that defied human understanding of spacecraft design. Metallic skin pulsed with an inner light, shifting and changing like liquid metal caught in some impossible dance. Where human ships were constructed with angular precision and mathematical logic, these alien vessels looked organic, almost alive, as if they had grown rather than been built. Chief Engineer Elena Martinez let out a low whistle. "Those aren't ships," she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. "Those are something else entirely." The initial sensor readings were incomprehensible. Quantum signatures fluctuated in patterns that seemed to break fundamental laws of physics. Size was a meaningless concept. Some of these vessels appeared to simultaneously occupy multiple spatial dimensions, their form shifting and changing with each microsecond of observation. "Estimated fleet size," Captain Williams demanded, her voice cutting through the building tension. Lieutenant Rodriguez struggled to provide a coherent answer. "It's complicated, Captain. Our sensors are registering anywhere from 12 to potentially hundreds of vessels. They're not maintaining a consistent dimensional presence." The alien fleet stretched across the sensor grid like a living nightmare. Each vessel seemed to breathe, to pulse with an intelligence that made human technology look like primitive toys. Their formation was unlike anything in human military doctrine, not a tactical deployment, but something more akin to a living organism's response to a potential threat. A communication burst erupted across all frequencies. It was not sound, not language, but a complex matrix of mathematical sequences and quantum information that threatened to overwhelm the Defiant's communication systems. Lieutenant Rodriguez worked frantically to stabilize the incoming transmission, his neural interface working overtime to process the alien communication. "It's a demand," he finally reported, his face pale. "At least I think it's a demand. They're treating us like we're some kind of lower-level biological anomaly." Captain Williams studied the holographic representation of the alien fleet. Years of training, of psychological preparation for potential first contact, crystallized in her mind. This was more than a military encounter. This was a fundamental clash of understanding. The aliens' communication was a complex tapestry of threat and dismissal. They spoke, if spoke was even the right word, of humanity as a species to be categorized, controlled, perhaps even eradicated. Their mathematical language suggested a civilization that viewed existence as a series of computational problems to be solved, with biological entities as nothing more than variables to be managed. But Williams saw something else. Between the complex quantum transmissions and the shifting biomechanical forms, she detected a pattern of uncertainty. These beings, for all their technological superiority, were not infallible. They were adapting, analyzing, trying to understand a species that did not conform to their expected parameters. "Prepare all sensor arrays," she ordered. "I want a complete quantum, electromagnetic, and dimensional scan of these vessels. We're going to understand them, even if they don't want to be understood." The bridge crew moved with a precision that spoke of years of training and preparation. Humans had always been defined by their ability to adapt, to learn, to transform the unknown into the known. Where other species might see an insurmountable technological gap, Williams saw an opportunity. The alien fleet continued to shift and pulse, their biomechanical forms a testament to technologies beyond human comprehension. But beneath the surface of their apparent superiority, something fundamental was happening. First contact was never about who had the most advanced technology. It was about understanding, about communication, about the fundamental nature of intelligence itself. And humanity was about to prove that some lessons cannot be learned through technological superiority alone. The communication matrix from the alien fleet was unlike anything in human experience. It was not a language in any traditional sense, but a complex web of mathematical probabilities, quantum entanglements, and computational logic that threatened to overwhelm the Defiant's communication systems. Captain Jessica Williams studied the incoming transmission with a mixture of professional detachment and raw intellectual curiosity. Most military commanders would have defaulted to defensive protocols, but she saw something more in these alien communications, a puzzle waiting to be understood. "Break it down," she ordered Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez, her voice calm and measured. Rodriguez's neural interface worked overtime, his fingers dancing across holographic displays that seemed to pulse with living information. The alien communication was not a simple message, but a multidimensional construct that existed simultaneously as mathematical equation, cultural statement, and existential threat. "It's a demand of submission," he finally reported, sweat beading on his forehead. "But it's more complex than a simple ultimatum. They're categorizing us, defining our potential value as a species through a series of computational assessments." Chief Engineer Elena Martinez leaned in, her scientific curiosity overriding any sense of fear. "They're not just communicating," she muttered, "they're attempting to quantify our entire existential potential." The alien transmission continued to flow, a river of quantum information that revealed far more about its senders than they likely intended. To the human crew of the Defiant, each mathematical sequence was a window into an alien psychology that was both terrifyingly advanced and fundamentally limited. Captain Williams saw the pattern emerging. The Zarkon, as the ship's preliminary linguistic analysis had tentatively named them, viewed existence as a complex computational problem. Species were not living beings, but variables to be solved, categorized, and either utilized or eliminated based on some vast, incomprehensible algorithm of galactic management. The human species, according to their assessment, was a low-probability variable. Potentially dangerous, but ultimately manageable. Containable. "They don't understand us at all," Williams said softly, more to herself than to her crew. The alien communication continued to break down human civilization into its most basic components. Economic systems were reduced to resource allocation algorithms. Cultural achievements were translated into computational efficiency metrics. Human potential was being measured and found wanting. But beneath the cold mathematical assessment, something else was happening. The very act of communication was revealing the fundamental limitations of the alien understanding. They could not comprehend the human capacity for adaptability, for innovation, for turning limitation into opportunity. "Prepare a response," Captain Williams ordered, "but not a defensive one. We're going to show them something they cannot calculate." Lieutenant Rodriguez looked up, a mixture of confusion and excitement crossing his face. "Captain, we're going to communicate in a way they've never experienced," she explained. "Not as a threat, not as a variable to be solved, but as something fundamentally unpredictable." The communication team worked frantically, guided by Williams' unconventional approach. They began transmitting a series of responses that defied the aliens' computational logic. Mathematical proofs that contained deliberate inconsistencies, cultural references that existed outside linear logic, artistic expressions that challenged the very concept of quantifiable meaning. Each transmission was a challenge to the alien understanding. Where the Zarkon expected linear response, humans provided complexity. Where they sought clear categorization, Humans offered beautiful chaos. On the bridge, the crew watched in a mixture of tension and barely contained excitement. This was more than a potential first contact scenario. This was a fundamental clash of understanding of the very nature of intelligence itself. The alien fleet's quantum signatures began to shift. Their communication patterns became more erratic, more uncertain. For the first time since their appearance, the Zarkon seemed confused. Captain Williams allowed herself a slight smile. Humanity had always been defined by its ability to be fundamentally, beautifully unpredictable. "They're trying to understand us," she said softly. "And that's exactly what we want." The Defiant hung in space, a beacon of human potential, broadcasting a message that went beyond words, beyond mathematics, beyond the comprehension of a species that believed the universe could be reduced to a series of solvable equations. Humanity was about to prove them wrong. The first weapons exchange was nothing like traditional space combat. It was a ballet of technological innovation, a dance of quantum potential that redefined the very concept of warfare. Captain Jessica Williams watched the holographic display with a surgeon's precision, her hands moving in subtle gestures that activated the Defiant's most advanced defensive systems. The ship was more than a mere vessel of war. It was a living testament to human technological achievement, a symphony of engineering that had been decades in the making. The quantum disruption cannons powered up with a low, almost musical hum. Unlike conventional weapons that relied on kinetic or energy-based destruction, these were precision instruments of quantum manipulation. Each shot was a complex mathematical equation made manifest, capable of unraveling the very atomic structure of their targets. "Targeting synchronization complete," reported Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez, his voice steady despite the intensity of the moment. The alien Zarkon vessels responded to the first volley in a way that defied conventional understanding. Their biomechanical hulls seemed to ripple and shift, attempting to adapt to the quantum disruption. But human technology had evolved beyond simple predictive countermeasures. Chief Engineer Elena Martinez monitored the weapon systems with the scientist's enthusiasm. "Watch the quantum cascade," she muttered to her team. "We're not just destroying. We're deconstructing." The first Zarkon ship dissolved not in a traditional explosion, but in a cascading wave of quantum deconstruction. Its complex biomechanical structure began to break down at the subatomic level, each molecular bond systematically unraveled by the Defiant's precision weaponry. It was destruction as a form of scientific exploration. Targeting efficiency at 97.3%, Rodriguez announced, a hint of pride in his voice. "They're not just being destroyed, they're being studied." Captain Williams understood the deeper strategy. This was more than a military engagement. It was a demonstration of human potential, a message broadcast across the vast emptiness of space. Each targeted strike was a complex communication, a statement about human technological capability that went far beyond simple warfare. The alien fleet began to respond, their own weapon systems activating in patterns that defied human understanding. Energy waves that existed in multiple dimensional states, weapon systems that seemed to attack not just physically, but through complex quantum entanglements. But human innovation had prepared for the impossible. The Defiant's defensive systems were a marvel of predictive technology. Quantum shields that could anticipate attack vectors before they manifested. Adaptive camouflage that could shift the ship's quantum signature faster than the alien weapons could lock onto a target. Defensive pattern delta, Williams called out. A series of maneuvers that would have been impossible with traditional spacecraft technology. The ship moved with a grace that seemed to mock the very concept of physical limitation. It was not just evading. It was teaching. Each alien weapon that approached found itself redirected, its energy dissipated through complex quantum manipulation. The Defiant was not just defending. It was demonstrating the fundamental superiority of human technological thinking. Chief Engineer Martinez couldn't help but smile. "They're learning," she said softly. "With every attack, they're learning about us." The combat became a language of its own. Mathematical equations made manifest. Technological potential transformed into a living dialogue of innovation and adaptation. Lieutenant Rodriguez tracked the battle's progression, his neural interface working at speeds that would have been impossible just a decade earlier. "They're trying to understand our defensive patterns," he reported. "But we're changing faster than they can analyze." That was the essence of human potential. Not just technological superiority, but the ability to innovate faster than the threat could comprehend. The Zarkon fleet began to fragment. Not through simple destruction, but through a systematic deconstruction that revealed the limitations of their technological understanding. Each destroyed vessel was a lecture in human innovation, a message broadcast across the vast emptiness of space. Humanity was not just defending. It was evolving. Captain Williams watched the holographic display, seeing not just a battle, but a fundamental transformation of galactic understanding. "Continue engagement," she ordered. "Let's show them what human potential really means." The Defiant continued its dance of destruction and innovation, a beacon of human achievement moving through the infinite darkness. The battle transcended physical combat, evolving into a complex dance of psychological and technological manipulation. Captain Jessica Williams understood something fundamental that the Zarkon had yet to comprehend. Warfare was as much about communication as it was about destruction. The ship's communication systems began to pulse with a carefully orchestrated series of transmissions. These were not simple messages, but intricate psychological probes designed to challenge the very foundation of the alien collective consciousness. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez worked frantically at his station, coordinating a communication strategy that was part scientific exploration, part philosophical challenge. "We're broadcasting more than information," he explained to Chief Engineer Elena Martinez. "We're sending them a complete deconstruction of their own cognitive limitations." Mathematical proofs began to flow from the Defiant's communication arrays. But these were not straightforward equations. They were deliberately constructed puzzles that contained deliberate inconsistencies, paradoxes that would force the alien intelligence to confront the limitations of their own logical frameworks. Cultural fragments followed, snippets of human art, music, and philosophical thought that defied linear comprehension. A fragment of a Beethoven symphony sat alongside quantum mechanical equations. A piece of abstract art was juxtaposed with a complex mathematical proof. Shakespeare's sonnets intertwined with geological survey data. The Zarkon communication patterns began to destabilize. Their initial rigid computational approach to understanding began to fragment. Where they expected linear response, they encountered beautiful chaos. Where they sought clear categorization, they found infinite complexity. Captain Williams watched the holographic displays, seeing not just a battle, but a fundamental clash of cognitive approaches. The human crew was doing something extraordinary. They were weaponizing unpredictability itself. "Target their communication matrices," she ordered. But this was no conventional targeting. This was a surgical strike against the very concept of alien understanding. Each transmission was a carefully constructed psychological weapon. The human communications team pulled from disciplines that the Zarkon could never have anticipated: psychology, art, philosophy, music. They were attacking not with weapons, but with the fundamental human capacity for creative thinking. Lieutenant Rodriguez developed transmission sequences that contained deliberate mathematical contradictions, proofs that seemed logical at first glance, but contained fundamental paradoxes that would force the alien intelligence to recalculate its entire understanding of logical reasoning. Chief Engineer Martinez contributed scientific data that challenged the Zarkon's fundamental understanding of physical laws, quantum mechanical observations that suggested multiple concurrent realities, geological data that showed the complex, chaotic nature of planetary formation, biological information that demonstrated the incredible adaptability of life. The ship's defensive systems continued to operate at peak efficiency, but they were no longer just a technological shield. They were part of a larger communication strategy. Each defensive maneuver was a message. Each quantum shield adjustment was a statement about human potential. The Zarkon fleet began to show signs of cognitive breakdown. Their previously precise formation started to fragment. Communication patterns became erratic, uncertain. For the first time, they appeared confused. "They're trying to categorize us," Captain Williams observed, "and failing spectacularly." Human potential was being demonstrated not through brute force, but through the most powerful weapon in the human arsenal, the ability to think beyond established parameters, to see possibility where others saw only limitation. The communication became a living thing, a complex organism of human potential. Each transmission was a challenge, a philosophical punch that struck at the very core of the alien understanding. Lieutenant Rodriguez looked up, a mixture of excitement and intellectual triumph on his face. "They're attempting to understand us," he reported, "and they can't. We're fundamentally breaking their cognitive models." It was psychological warfare in its most pure form. Not a destruction of the enemy, but a complete deconstruction of their understanding of reality itself. The Defiant hung in space, a beacon of human potential. Each moment was a broadcast, each second a statement about the incredible, unpredictable nature of human intelligence. The aliens were learning a fundamental lesson about humanity. We are not a species to be understood. We are a species that lives to challenge understanding itself. The prototype weapon sat at the heart of the Defiant like a sleeping giant, a technological marvel that represented the pinnacle of human scientific achievement. Captain Jessica Williams knew it was more than just a weapon. It was a statement about human potential, a demonstration of humanity's capacity to challenge the very foundations of physical understanding. Quantum entanglement technology had been a theoretical concept for centuries. Generations of physicists had dreamed of manipulating the fundamental fabric of reality. Now, in the cold darkness of deep space, humanity was about to turn those dreams into a weapon of unprecedented complexity. Chief Engineer Elena Martinez ran her final system checks with the precision of a surgeon. "Quantum coherence at 99.7%, she reported, her voice a mixture of scientific excitement and professional calm. "Dimensional stabilization matrices are fully aligned." The weapon was unlike anything in known military technology. It didn't simply destroy. It existed in a state of potential, capable of simultaneously targeting multiple dimensional planes, of unraveling the very fabric of spatial temporal reality. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez monitored the targeting systems, his neural interface working at speeds that would have seemed impossible just a decade earlier. "Potential engagement vectors are showing some unusual characteristics," he called out. Unusual was an understatement. The quantum entanglement weapon could theoretically strike targets that didn't even exist in their current dimensional state. It was a weapon that didn't just attack. It challenged the very concept of existence itself. Captain Williams understood the deeper implications. This was more than a military tool. It was a technological proof of concept that would reshape humanity's understanding of physical reality. "Prepare dimensional targeting sequence," she ordered, her voice calm and measured. The Zarkon fleet continued to approach, their biomechanical vessels pulsing with an alien intelligence that seemed to defy conventional understanding. They had no concept of the technological marvel that was about to be unleashed. Chief Engineer Martinez began the complex initialization sequence. Each system came online with a precision that bordered on the miraculous. Quantum capacitors charged with a soft, almost musical hum. Dimensional stabilization matrices aligned with mathematical perfection. "Target lock acquired," Rodriguez reported, his voice tight with anticipation. The weapon was unlike any military technology in human history. It didn't just attack a target. It existed in a state of quantum potential, capable of simultaneously striking multiple dimensional states. Where traditional weapons destroy through force, this weapon unraveled the very fabric of spatial temporal reality. Captain Williams watched the holographic display, seeing not just a weapon, but a fundamental challenge to the nature of existence itself. The Zarkon believed in rigid, calculable realities. Humanity was about to prove that reality was far more complex. "Initiate quantum cascade," she ordered. The weapon fired. But fired was too simple a word. It manifested. It existed. It became. The first Zarkon vessel simply ceased to exist in any comprehensible sense. One moment it was there, a complex biomechanical entity of incredible technological sophistication. The next moment, it was simultaneously everywhere and nowhere, its quantum state completely deconstructed. Lieutenant Rodriguez struggled to describe what he was seeing. "It's not destruction," he muttered. "It's deconstruction. Complete quantum dissolution." The Zarkon fleet began to react, but reaction was impossible against a weapon that challenged the very concept of existence. Each vessel found itself existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously, their complex biomechanical structures unraveling at the most fundamental level. Captain Williams watched with a sense of profound scientific achievement. This was more than a weapon. It was a demonstration of human potential, a statement about humanity's capacity to understand and manipulate reality itself. "Continuing engagement," she ordered. "Let's show them what human innovation really means." The Defiant continued its extraordinary assault, a beacon of human technological potential moving through the infinite darkness of space, challenging everything the Zarkon thought they understood about existence. The battle had transcended traditional concepts of warfare. What began as a military engagement had become a profound philosophical confrontation, a demonstration of humanity's fundamental capacity for innovation and survival. Captain Jessica Williams stood at the center of the Defiance Bridge, her presence a calm nucleus of strategic brilliance amidst the chaos of cosmic conflict. Each movement of her hand, each subtle command, was a carefully calculated stroke in a complex intellectual chess match that would determine the fate of humanity's first true interstellar encounter. The Zarkon fleet, once a seemingly invincible armada of biomechanical perfection, now resembled a fractured, confused collective. Their ships, those that remained, drifted in increasingly erratic patterns, their once precise formations dissolving like mist under the relentless assault of human technological innovation. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez tracked the engagement with a mixture of scientific fascination and military precision. "They're losing cohesion," he reported, his voice a blend of professional detachment and subtle excitement. "Their collective intelligence is fragmenting under our multi-dimensional assault." Chief Engineer Elena Martinez monitored the ship's systems, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that pulsed with complex data streams. "It's not just about destruction," she muttered, more to herself than to anyone else. "We're fundamentally challenging their entire conceptual understanding of existence." The quantum entanglement weapon continued its extraordinary assault. Each targeted strike was more than a simple act of military aggression. It was a complex communication, a message broadcast across the vast emptiness of space that spoke to the fundamental nature of human potential. Where the Zarkon expected predictability, they encountered chaos. Where they sought linear progression, they found multi-dimensional complexity. Humanity was not just fighting. They were teaching a profound lesson about the nature of intelligence, adaptation, and survival. "Maintain quantum cascade," Captain Williams ordered, her voice calm and measured. Each word was a precise mathematical equation, each command a strategic masterpiece that pushed the boundaries of known military doctrine. The ship moved with a grace that seemed to mock the very concept of physical limitation. The Defiant was not just a vessel of war. It was a living testament to human engineering, a beacon of technological potential that danced between dimensional states with impossible precision. Lieutenant Rodriguez tracked the progressive breakdown of the alien fleet's communication matrices. "Their collective intelligence is fragmenting," he reported. "They're losing the ability to coordinate, to think as a unified entity." This was psychological warfare in its most pure form. The human crew was attacking not just the physical manifestation of the Zarkon fleet, but their fundamental understanding of reality itself. Chief Engineer Martinez couldn't help but marvel at the technological achievement. "We're not just destroying," she explained to her team. "We're deconstructing their entire conceptual framework. Each quantum strike is a lesson in human potential." The battle became a language of its own. Mathematical equations made manifest. Technological potential transformed into a living dialogue of innovation and adaptation. Captain Williams understood the deeper strategy. This was more than a military engagement. It was a fundamental transformation of galactic understanding. Humanity was not just defending itself. It was demonstrating its capacity for infinite adaptation. The Zarkon fleet continued to fragment, not through simple destruction, but through a systematic deconstruction that revealed the limitations of their technological understanding. Each destroyed vessel was a lecture in human innovation, a message broadcast across the vast emptiness of space. Continue engagement pattern, Williams ordered. Maximum psychological pressure. The ship's communication systems continued to pulse with complex transmissions, mathematical proofs that contained deliberate contradictions, quantum mechanical observations that challenged fundamental understanding of physical laws, cultural fragments that demonstrated the beautiful complexity of human thought. Lieutenant Rodriguez watched in fascination as the alien fleet's communication patterns became increasingly erratic. "They're trying to understand us," he reported, "and they're failing spectacularly." Humanity was writing a new chapter in galactic history, not through brute force, but through the most powerful weapon in its arsenal, the ability to think beyond established parameters, to see possibility where others saw only limitation. The Defiant hung in space, a beacon of human potential. Each moment was a broadcast, each second a statement about the incredible, unpredictable nature of human intelligence. "We are not a species to be understood," Captain Williams said softly, watching the holographic display of the disintegrating alien fleet. "We are a species that lives to challenge understanding itself." The battle was more than a victory. It was a profound statement about the nature of intelligence, adaptation, and the infinite potential of human creativity. Silence descended on the bridge of the UES Defiant. It was not the silence of exhaustion, but of profound transformation. The remnants of the Zarkon fleet drifted like cosmic debris, a testament to humanity's unprecedented technological and psychological victory. Captain Jessica Williams stood motionless, her green eyes scanning the holographic displays that showed the complete deconstruction of what had once been an seemingly invincible alien armada. This was more than a military engagement. This was a fundamental redefinition of humanity's place in the universe. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez broke the silence, his voice a mixture of scientific wonder and professional restraint. "Complete fleet neutralization confirmed," he reported. "Zero human casualties. Quantum cascade effects are stabilizing." Chief Engineer Elena Martinez moved between her stations, her hands dancing across interfaces that pulsed with complex data streams. "The technological insights we've gained," she muttered, more to herself than to anyone else, "are beyond anything in human scientific history." The final transmission was perhaps the most critical moment of the entire encounter. Captain Williams understood that first contact was not about destruction, but communication. She began to craft a message that would define humanity's first true interstellar diplomatic statement. "Prepare communication sequence," she ordered. "Full spectrum, multi-dimensional broadcast." The message was a complex tapestry of human potential. Mathematical proofs existed alongside fragments of human art. Quantum mechanical observations intertwined with musical compositions. Scientific data danced with philosophical insights. It was a communication that defied simple categorization, much like humanity itself. Lieutenant Rodriguez monitored the transmission's quantum signature. "It's not just a message," he explained to his team. "It's a complete cultural and scientific snapshot of human potential." The surviving Zarkon leadership, if leadership was even the right word, found themselves confronted with a species that defied every computational model in their vast database. Humanity was not a variable to be solved, but a living, breathing challenge to their entire understanding of intelligent life. "We are not asking for recognition," Captain Williams' message began. "We are offering understanding." Chief Engineer Martinez couldn't help but marvel at the complexity of the transmission. Each quantum pulse carried layers of meaning: scientific, cultural, philosophical. It was a communication that existed simultaneously as data, art, and pure potential. The holographic displays showed the alien fleet's communication matrices becoming increasingly erratic. They were attempting to process a form of intelligence that existed beyond their computational capabilities. Humanity was teaching them a fundamental lesson about the nature of intelligence itself. "They're trying to categorize us," Lieutenant Rodriguez observed, and failing completely. Captain Williams watched the transmission unfold, understanding the deeper strategy. This was not about military victory. This was about demonstrating humanity's fundamental capacity for growth, adaptation, and infinite potential. The message continued, a complex symphony of human achievement. Technological breakthroughs sat alongside artistic masterpieces. Scientific discoveries danced with philosophical insights. It was a communication that challenged the very concept of categorization. "We do not seek conflict," the transmission continued. "We seek understanding." The surviving Zarkon leadership found themselves confronted with a profound existential challenge. Humanity was not a species to be conquered or categorized. They were a living, breathing demonstration of the infinite potential of intelligent life. Chief Engineer Martinez tracked the transmission's quantum signatures. "They're receiving," she reported. "But more importantly, they're being forced to reconsider their entire understanding of intelligence." Lieutenant Rodriguez added his own observation. "We're not just communicating," he said softly. "We're fundamentally challenging their entire conceptual framework." As the transmission concluded, the bridge of the Defiant fell into a charged silence. They had done more than win a battle. They had rewritten the fundamental rules of interstellar engagement. Captain Williams understood the true significance of the moment. This was humanity's first true statement to the cosmos. Not a declaration of war, but an invitation to understanding. "We are here," the final transmission proclaimed. "We are ready." The UEA's Defiant hung in space, a beacon of human potential. Not just a warship, but a living testament to humanity's capacity for innovation, adaptation, and infinite growth. First contact was complete. The universe would never be the same.